well, talk about an important industry. We did meet with the folks at the Wyoming Lodging and Restaurant Association, so we got to put a
Mhm.
little clip up about them. But yours is the more all-encompassing
Mhm. Mhm.
tourism uh, industry
Yeah.
uh, view. And so, that's what we want today. Just learned that Grand Teton National Park's going to open up later this month, right?
It's exciting, I mean, it really, everything is really hinging on the ability for people to have access to all the places that we all love and, that visitors have loved for centuries, that I mean, these places. But right now, I mean, as we said, it is about making sure that the time is right and ready and the gradual rollout. And so, but I know that we're all looking forward to the same thing in
Yeah.
in our industry. We're looking forward to being able to welcome residents back out, and then really primed for the time when we can welcome visitors back.
So you're one of the major clearinghouses for communications with tourists and with providers of tourism experiences. So how are you managing those relationships in this COVID thing?
Yeah. So the good news is we've always had different audiences with whom we communicate. So we have our internal audience, like you said, the people here in Wyoming who are service providers, whether they're running a tour or a tour service or a guest ranch, or they're an outfitter, a guide, or they're a concessionaire inside of a national park, or a fellow state agency like state parks and cultural resources. So we have this whole internal audience that we communicate with, our B2B. And then we have our potential travelers. And so that is our external, very inspirational, travel driven messaging. The good news is that we already have these systems in place because we're doing this all of the time. The messages have changed. And everything that we're doing right now for potential travelers is about stay calm, stay inspired. There's a new term, armchair travel.
Mm,
We didn't coin it, but this is something that was prevalent across our industry. And so it is really just about feeding those potential travelers as they're isolated, this opportunity to dream about the day when they can travel again. And we produced a really powerful video called "Stay Calm, Stay Inspired."
mm.
There's a story in the Wall Street Journal today about it,
Oh, wow.
about rural destinations who are really, using their most sparsely populated areas in a way to still communicate. And that's sensitive because consumers don't want travel brands to really promote travel unless it's about how are you handling things with the pandemic. So that's what we're working on there. And then we will be rolling as soon as we get the more safe to get out and about, when restaurants can start to open. The national park starting to open is another indicator. And so we're anticipating that probably by maybe the end of May, the first part of June, that we'll press play again on our national campaign, but it'll have a different message to it than what we had originally planned in March. And so things have shifted. And it will still be more about safety and the confidence. Consumer confidence is key in people's willingness to travel. And so then that will shape out. And on the best case scenario, we could really start to have at least a portion of a summer season, July, August, and maybe September. And as many of our operators have said, I can survive with a bad season. I cannot survive a no season.
Right.
And so, and as you well know, the beauty of Wyoming in many ways is that, we just don't have a lot of people here, but we can't just rely on our own internal residents to get out and travel. That just simply doesn't create enough economic impact to really move the meter. I mean, certainly it's important that they're there, but we need the export economy. We need the non-resident investment, buying goods and services, generating tax revenue, supporting the state's largest private sector industry, almost 33,000 jobs. And it is important. And so that's really the role that we're doing with our external customers.
Have you talked to any of the rodeos this summer in Wyoming
Oh,
that
we
are
have.
trying
Yes.
to make decisions?
And I feel badly for them because there's, such a one-time seasonal thing, and there aren't guidelines yet for those large gatherings. And so we hosted a call with Cheyenne Frontier Days, the Cody Stampede, Sheridan Wyo Rodeo, Central Wyoming Fair and Rodeo, and State Fair. 2 weeks ago, I'm losing track of how quickly these were, but we had a conference call, and Tom Hersick with Cheyenne Frontier Days initiated all of it. We hosted it through a Zoom account, and then they came together with a proposal and sent a letter to Governor Gordon. And I know that there's now a follow-up call scheduled later this week with the governor to speak about the rodeos. And everybody would love to still do it, and I think they're still evaluating if they can and what it would look like. But certainly, we went from like little britches all the way to the daddy. And so there's different parameters for those types of events. And so to have a blanket guideline for all rodeos probably is not fair, but to have some basic guidelines would be good. Mm-hmm. So we do industry calls every Monday morning. There's usually about 100 people on, of rodeos to lodging tax boards to restaurants and others, and we're just all trying to support one another and make sure that we have good information available to everyone.
Is there something about all this that has surprised you? Is there a silver lining somewhere?
I do think there's silver linings, and I'm an optimist, but
I know that about you.
Yeah, I am. I think that we will, you have to be nimble, and you have to be willing to embrace change. And if you don't, then, you become obsolete. You're no longer relevant. And so where I believe the silver linings are in this is I think it's elevated the value of the tourism economy, the visitor economy, to everyone across the United States. There's a greater awareness and appreciation for those workers in our industry who have been many times buttonholed into those are dead-end jobs. And we now know that those are really vital jobs, that families make their livings, that they're not all dead-end jobs. Every industry has entry-level jobs.
Of course.
But they're not, so we, through the spectrum of entry to executive management, this has impacted us. And so I think that's been some really good things about it. The other thing is we will hopefully come out of this being smarter and stronger and more braver than we've ever been. And if we don't have a better understanding of our customers on the other side of COVID, we really haven't been paying attention. Mm-hmm. And so those things I think are really, really our silver lining. And, you have to lean in and let that really be a part of your learning. And we're trying very hard to be really open and accepting to that. And I think that would be across most industries too, but certainly we're very customer based. Mm-hmm. And the one other thing, and I know that you know this because we've talked about this before, but this is such a labor intensive industry. These are people to people relationships.
Absolutely.
You think about, all of the contact face to face with others, and think about the whitewater rafting guides. Part of the experience is being on that nice float boat going down, whether it's scenic or you're doing whitewater rafting. That's the engagement with that customer. You think about the dude ranch and the wrangler who's taking you out on a trail ride, and people will go away, and it's because of the people that they met. But all across the United States, these are American jobs. They're people. They can't be outsourced. And that is still what humanity needs. We know this in isolation, that we need each other, that we need interaction with others. And so when we call it the hospitality industry, it's well defined.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. So I think those are, all the things that we will hopefully not take for granted going forward, that we won't just let those things sit and rest with the COVID, and we'll take those learnings with us.